This is Philip at 10zebra. I wanted to show you how you can take a consistent character that you've created and make a range of different poses and get a range of different actions and videos off of them. So this is a character that I made just yesterday and was able to get different acting experiences, different emotions, and maintain consistency of the character throughout. And so what I want to do today is take you through my own workflow for how it is that I'm making these different characters and being able to change them. And then also I'll show you how to get them into different environments. I wanted to back up though and show you just last week how I was approaching this and how that same technique works and is a lot better. The first step was to be able to get a range of different poses of the character. And instead of, I could do that manually and go ahead and I want this shot, I want this shot, I want this shot. And you arrange different image editors. But my approach here is to actually ask an AI tool to be able to do that for me and describe how I would do that. And so this is the prompt that I wrote. Create 10 character poses of Greg with a flat plain background, including frontal portrait, three-quarter portrait, wide shot with dynamic composition of posture and action, mid shots with... So I'm just listing kind of the shots that I want, but this is a paragraph. Importantly, I can copy and paste this paragraph. I can change it. Here is sort of some of my strategy. I want to say no montage because I don't want the description of an LLM to create montage sequences, which end up in the generation. So that helps for me. And then I say Greg is, and I put in quotes, a 35-year-old Mexican-Italian hairdresser in a pale yellow t-shirt with brown baggy jeans, an orange scarf around his neck, studio lighting on a pale white background. So I've put that in quotes to call it out. And I say also repeat that exact phrase in each prompt description. So what I'm doing here is I'm providing descriptions to an agent that's gonna write the prompts that then create the images for me. This is a little bit of automation with a little bit of exploration. Some parts really land well, some of it's hit or miss, but it really helps to be able to scale outwards where you describe the intent for what we're getting, and then you know you're gonna get back a volume, in this case, of 10 shots in a storyboard. And each one of those shots is actually gonna have a bunch of different underlying assets behind it. So in this case, shot number 10, it says full body shot of Greg relaxed, has these different versions of them. They're slightly different. So if I flip through these, they all have a prompt, which was written by an AI agent, but there's different variations of them where, let's see, hands in the pocket are like that, is slightly different, right? So there's variations where some will be better or worse than other ones. And so that gives me 10 starting points that I could use if I liked one of these more than another one. That's present for all of these. And the first thing I want to say is the clothing, colors, and baggy pants are consistent across them. The character is certainly not, right? This person's face is not the same as this person's face. Both came off of just the prompt. The reason why they're similar is it says a Mexican-Italian hairdresser. So these are two different generations of a Mexican-Italian hairdresser, this retro style that we've applied to it. Now, here's the difference. I'm going to do the same thing again, but with a new character consistency tool. I'll show you how that works. So if you're in 10zebra and you want to make a new project, I'm clicking on the logo and I'm going to new storyboard and I'm saying from a description with an LLM. And so if I create a story over here, I can do the same thing. I can say I want it to be retro, but I can now include a character reference. So I can add any image that I want. In this case, it was from my previous run of generations, but it could come from Midjourney. It could come from yourself. It could come from a photo that you have the right to be able to use as a base for character reference. I'm generating a storyboard from a description, but I actually want to be able to not just create a story. I want to create like a character pose style sheet, right? So for my description here, I'm just pasting in this same blurb. It says like create, and I'm going to say various character poses of Greg. Because here I actually can choose, do I want 30 of them, 20 of them? And so I'm going to choose 5 different shots. And I'm going to get 4 different variants of each one of them. But they are going to be the descriptions of the different kind of poses anchored to this particular character with the retro style. And I have this option to generate videos here. This actually cranks up the cost a lot. I'm not going to do this. It's kind of like I'm feeling lucky, like just go ahead and animate it for me. I'm going to first get the images and I want to look at them and see what they look like, and then be more thoughtful about the next round of generations from the initial pose to the kind of action that I want to have. And so this storyboard, I'm now just going to leap over and show you the results for it. That takes about a minute or two to be able to do that. So these are the results that you would get back from 5 different shots. In this case, a frontal portrait, a 3/4 portrait, a wide shot, a mid shot with his mouth slightly open, and a close-up with a worried expression. And this is trying to just sort of show you that there's a range that we can get here. They're all images to start with. When I start, I get 4 back. I've actually gone ahead and leapt into this and done a few different things. So I'm going to take you through my workflow to show you how I get to my end results starting from. So my first 4 here are this one. You have some audio on this. I'm going to turn off the audio so we're not listening to that as we go through. I don't like how the pants are so high up on this one. This one kind of works. That camera's kind of getting in the way over there. This one I actually like. But again, I don't like this camera that's over there. So actually one of the first things I'm going to do is when I like part of an image, but I don't want something else, I'm going to use an edit. And so this is how I did this. I used edit image with Nano Banana, and the prompt was just remove the camera. If I was going to do that directly, I would go to the starting point where I like this image. I would then go ahead to reimagine this and choose edit image, have it set to nano, and use the prompt remove the camera. And the result of this from a previous generation is exactly this. It's this one, right? So this is now my starting image for what I'm going to then animate. Next, it's an image to video phase where I'd like to be able to get some motion in there and get some expression. So I'm starting with, like a light, pretty neutral expression, but I want something to happen. And so here I'm just having him pace back and forth, right? So I've got this movement and I like it. I think it's interesting. I'm imagining this is part of a story, and I actually want this to be, a moment where he's pacing outside because something's going to happen. And so, again, I can leap right into that, preserve this motion, preserve this character, and have him be in a parking lot where I have this same motion. The lighting's now more appropriate. It's changed a little bit for it. I still have that pace. I can kind of like, approve that pacing asset, but change what's in the background. So how did I do that? And also this is the moment where I can kind of zoom into a particular part of it, right? So I want to be able to make a selection and say this is actually the moment that I really want in here. I don't need the whole 5 seconds of this generation. This is the part that's going to carry forward. So I'll leave it like this. So this is the prompt. Given that I started from this sort of plain white background, and you could do this with any background being there. You could just say swap out the background. So I sort of like the flow of a simple environment, like a studio lighting, white background, and then adding the background in there and asking to update the lighting. So this is the prompt that I used to be able to make that transition. I didn't do plates. There's no green screen. It was just from the previous one to this one with this prompt. Replace the background with a parking lot in front of a supermarket from the 1980s. The cars on the lot are red, light blue, and pale green. There are many empty spaces in a poorly maintained parking lot. Change the lighting for the whole scene to dusk and use a darker cinematic color grade. So that's how I end up to here using this one method, video to video nano LF. So this is something that's specific inside of 10zebra. And what we're doing is we're actually merging 2 different tools and trying to get the best of them and make it easy for you to say like leap forward. And so in this case, the core tools are Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash Preview, which is also known as Nano Banana, and also Runway's Aleph model. And we've fused them together and are doing some prompt magic in between to be able to take this initial instruction right here, which you ask for it, and carry it through across the whole video. So this is now the full workflow and the history of it, which is summarized as all of the different takes that lead up towards this one in this shot. And as a director of this project now, I could say, you know what, in this case, it was me. I did this one and I did this one. But I can say, I like this one now. There might be like 4 different versions because when you use Gen AI, you get a lot of different stuff. So this is the one that I want, right? And so this is an important key to say, in my story, this is the director's select. That's what's going to make it forward. I like the contents that are in here, and I've also been able to trim out the part that I think is appropriate. And that's my workflow for this one shot. Now I want to flip through and sort of show you what was happened in the other ones, right? So starting with this shot, we got to this sort of emotion over here. One was a smile. I tried one with a smile and one where he kind of like looks at his watch and then walks away. So I like the one where he looked at his watch and walked away. And I placed him into a supermarket and have some eeriness with the lights, right? So there's the prompt for that if you want to look at the screen. And here is, so I've made that one, but now I'm going to make this one be the select. I'm using also the arrow keys to navigate back and forth between these. So as I'm reviewing them, I like this one. I'd say that one's good. I'd look at this one. Which of these do I like to have? I like what's happening over here. I like the movement and the action, and I like that he's in an environment. So I'm going to select this one. And this is the one where I've put him with environment. So I'll select that one. Okay, so at this point in time, I now have a preview that I can look at. So this is the live preview, which just sort of is going to flip through all of the different files that we're looking at. This comes really fast. It's easy for everyone to see in the project. We're on a web page. Anyone can see the trims that have been applied. Anyone can see the styles that have been applied. It's low res. These are proxy files. So we're beaming out proxy files to the edge so that everyone can look at them. In the cloud, we have a backup of a higher resolution file. And so anyone who's in my crew, I should be clear what I mean by that. Anyone in my crew means anyone who scans this code. So you could scan this code and you could look at this project and you are in my crew. That means you have the right to see the full storyboard, see all the assets, add any asset that you want. The notion is I might be paying you to do generations to work on this project. You're working on this production, and that gives you those rights. But as the owner of the project, these things are true. That implicitly the copyright is assigned to the person who's the owner of the project. So make sure you understand that. And you can delete any shot, make any select, and save the output of it so that you can kind of carry on to the next phase of production. So in short, you hit the save button and then you end up getting a saved file. This is like the next stage of the review queue. It's high resolution. It's got the audio inside for it. And it has sort of reflects the trims that I wanted to. This is where I would pass off the project to the next, more of a post-production stage. So I've been acting as a director that's basically sourcing and curating the AI assets that go into this production. But importantly, you want the rawest form of the media with the most precision to be passed off to your editor. So we also have an archive. So if I click on the download the archive, it's actually going to make a zip archive with all of the assets that went into this sequence and let someone else be able to have slightly higher resolution stuff. And that's mostly because you're trying to minimize transcoding or retranscoding stuff. The moment you pull out an MP4, you've downgraded the original resolution, and you don't want to do that over and over again. So when you hand files off to an editor, you give them the zip archive. If you want to just put it on social because it already looks pretty damn cool, it's got audio in it, it's got your trim in it, then you can just download it from here. And you download the MP4 and you're off to the races. This is, the file that you've put together. So to recap, what happened over here started with an agentic description of a bunch of different assets, uploaded one character reference, created a collection of different things, which then allowed for a range of different actions to be prompted for. This is the heavy curation phase to get what you want, to get the actions that you want. And then those were modified into particular environments where all of the different looks and feels are curated heavily. This is testing the sequence to see if it kind of like holds water. Do you like it? Do you need to keep changing it? This is the iterative phase where there's a lot of change in the production workflow when you're using AI tools, because you can kind of do everything at the same time. You can go back to the beginning. You can add a new shot. I should make that clear for you. Sorry, I'm like going backwards. If I'm here and I'm like, what, my sequence is different. I can add an empty shot, pull my empty shot wherever I want to, add my notes to it, right? Like he climbs up the stairs. This is the moment where I'm making an edit effectively at like the story level now, right? And so I can then jump back in here and restart this process or grab from one of these scenes and take this guy, Nano Banana, put him into a new location, image to video. Oh, by the way, the image to videos that are actually pretty killer right now, it's Kling. Kling 2.5 is actually the generator behind this one. They're all in here, or a lot of them are. So for any one of these things, if you go to image to video, Runways are default because Runway is actually pretty solid and a good price point. But Luma, Veo, so older ones, AutoSign One, Minimax, and Kling. And so Kling runs their newest Turbo Pro 2.5, which was able to generate this initial acting with a pretty simple sentence, good prompt coherence. Okay, I think that was it. I think I've got you up to speed for how I made this. I hope you can make something awesome with 10zebra. And I want you to know that you've got all those tools. You've got an agent that you can describe your story to. You've got consistent characters throughout it. You've got the means to be able to apply different styles to it. You can edit any image with Nano Banana. You can apply the best image to video tools. You keep all of your media in one place, so you don't keep on uploading and downloading in different places. You can add in your collaborators and you can all work on one sequence. And at the end of it, when you're like, I want to export this thing to like crush it with my finalized post, you have the means to do that very easily too. And it's all here. So hope you can make something awesome. And thanks if you want to hear more examples, you can sign up. I will do tutorials every once in a while. If you're the kind of person that wants to be able to review our tools and explain them, reach out to me.